You Lord, the Lord, you Lord, for Sunday. 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 You Lord, the Lord, you Lord, for Sunday.
Good evening, everybody. Tune in, turn in, come on in to Monday Moments with Patrina L. Listen, I don't know what's going on. Soon as I went live, or tried to go live, uh, my Facebook is not showing up. So I put on my post that you can catch it on the YouTube channel. I am live on the YouTube channel, and later I'll share it to my Facebook page afterwards. But I didn't want to delay the time. Thank you for tuning in to Monday Moments with Patrina L. I'm here on the YouTube, my YouTube channel at Patrina L-C4B. Tune in, subscribe, like. You can still make your comments on the YouTube channel. You can still do your comments on the YouTube channel. So tonight I want to talk about boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries. I don't think I'll be before you long. I got to go back afterwards and figure out what happened with my Facebook page and everything. But we're going to move on. Let's talk about boundaries. Definition: boundary, a line that marks the limits of an area, a dividing line. A boundary is a limit or edge that defines you as separate from others. And I've heard many people say, especially in the last year or so, give or take, that I'm setting boundaries. I'm setting boundaries for this. I'm setting boundaries for that. But I've also realized in watching these people say, I'm setting boundaries, that I'm not sure if they really know what it means to set boundaries. Setting boundaries should be a healthy thing. It requires self-awareness. We need to be clear about our expectations of ourselves and others, and what we are and are not comfortable with in specific situations. Setting healthy boundaries require good communication skills that convey assertiveness and clarity. We've got to be clear, precise on what boundaries you are setting and why. Sometimes why, not all the times, but it involves good communication, being assertive and clear. Assertiveness involves expressing your feelings openly and respectfully. It does not entail making demands, but it requires people to listen to you. Not making demands, but to listen to you. Setting healthy boundaries requires you to assert your needs and priorities as a form of self care. Three things that I looked at as setting healthy boundaries. One, be as clear and as straightforward as possible. Do not raise your voice. I found some that have said, "Oh, I'm setting my boundary," or "I'm setting boundaries," and they're yelling, they're frustrated, they're and they're not even clear about what their boundaries look like. Be as clear and straightforward as possible. State your need or request directly in terms of what you'd like rather than what you don't want or like. And accept any discomfort that arises as a result rather than whether it's guilt, shame, or remorse. The third step is common for people with poor boundaries, codependency issues, or are people pleasers. Sometimes adults have been raised by childhood carers who taught them that expressing their needs is bad and selfish. You know how when we were coming up, I know in my generation, was told that we were taught that we weren't allowed to express our opinions or and our express our voice because we were children underneath. All right, Deshaun Stevens, unless they play deaf, then you get right up in their ear to make sure they heard you. I hear you. I hear you. Some have selective hearing. I agree. But however, not accepting the discomfort that comes from setting healthy boundaries in adulthood means setting for unhealthy relationships that can cause resentment, manipulation, and abuse. Each person must decide where they draw the line between preserving their privacy, at least from those whom are not intimate, those that you're not intimate or have an intimate relationship with. And when I say intimate, I'm not necessarily talking about couples. And with letting others in. To maintain those lines, they erect boundaries and work to preserve them. Some individuals are more vigilant and even aggressive about their firewalls. They're aggressive and vigilant about their boundaries and what they will let in and what they won't let in. They're more vigilant and even aggressive, which can lead to discomfort, if not conflict, with others. So remember, I said in step one, be as clear and as straightforward as possible. Do not raise your voice. Try at first to be calm and express your boundary. But in general, setting healthy boundaries can be a way of preserving one's mental health and well being. Remember, I started off saying that setting healthy boundaries requires self awareness. So we want to set our boundaries, preserving one's mental health as well as our well being. Setting boundaries means at first knowing what one wants and expects from the people in their lives and what they'll expect from them. You know, we can say, oh, I'm setting a boundary and this is what I'm looking for. This is what I expect. This is what I'm looking for you to do. But also, what are you going to do? You flip it around. What are you going to do? What are you going to accept? And then clearly, concisely, and calmly stating those ground rules. For many, though, this is harder than it seems. I can attest to that. I have tried. I have tried the calm approach. I'm still working on it. I can admit I'm still working on it. Because sometimes you can get frustrated and worked up and everything, and you trying to set your boundaries, you trying to get it out there what you expect and what you're looking for and what you will accept and what you will not accept. And you may be dealing with someone that does not even realize that they're lacking communication skills. So then you got to go through a whole nother approach. But why do some people struggle to set boundaries? Individuals who don't set boundaries with the people in their lives may believe that they are less worthy than others and that their needs are less deserving of attention. That right there hit home for me because I have went so long in my life allowing people or I should say I have went so long in my life being a people pleaser and not focusing on pleasing myself. So it's been hard for me to set boundaries, but I'm working on it every day because it's a continual thing. It's not something where you just wake up and say, I set these boundaries and these are my four walls. You may be allowed in and you may not, and that's that. No, we can't do it that way. We have to approach it in a way where we're communicating clearly, precisely. We're not manipulating no one, but we're expressing our expectations, what we're looking for, what we want, and what we will accept, and in the willingness and the wants of what we will accept in our four walls or our boundary of walls. They may be shy. Some may shy away from telling others that they violated their boundaries because they fear the fear of social consequences. Uh, with me, it wasn't shyness. I just didn't speak up. I just didn't speak up, and so not speaking up for years at a time, not speaking up. Uh, Now I've had to deal with in the last 5 years how to change that because I didn't know how to say no. I would try to do it all. I would try to do everything. If you ask me to do ABC, and at that moment I'm doing LMN, and I still got to do XYZ, I'm gonna try to work in the ABC in what I'm current. You get what I'm saying? And that's because I didn't know how to say no. I can't. No, I'm not gonna be able to. I'm sorry, I'm not available. You know. But now I've learned to say no and be okay with it. If I can't, I can't. I just can't. If I can and I know that I can, then I will. If it's in between, I will let you know. I will try. But we have to uh, set a pattern that will continue in the boundary setting. Some may lose sight of their own wants and needs, but keep at it. Keep doing it. Keep at it, because in the long run, it's going to help you more so than the one on the outside. How can a people pleaser set boundaries? Me, a people pleaser. Someone who consistently sets their needs aside to accommodate the needs or demands of others may be a people pleaser. That's a people pleaser. And this is not a clinical diagnosis, but it describes a personality type characterized by low self-worth and assertiveness and self-awareness. And I know that I have already expressed that I have dealt with that. And yes, there was a time when I dealt with low self-esteem, low self-worth, low assertiveness, low self-awareness, and a tendency to over apologize, take the blame when it was not my fault, and overvalue the praise of others. You're looking at that person. That was me. But with help and studying and researching self-help books, they're on and on and on, I've learned that even as a people pleaser, I can turn that around. Ursuline, thank you for tuning in. Said if you don't set boundaries, people will run over you. And good luck with that, because some people get offended. You're right. People will walk over you. And let me just add, put this plug in. When you profess to be saved or a Christian, however you want to say it. If you're a Christian, you want to say you're a Christian. If you say you're saved, you say. But people tend to believe that people in the church, Christians, are to just lay down and become a doormat and let you just walk all over them. Because you're a Christian and you're not supposed to, say anything, or you're not supposed to get angry, and you're not supposed to be upset, and you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to be that. The world will label you a certain way and have you thinking that you're supposed to take every lick that comes to you, push down, trip, punch you in the face, hit you upside the head. You're supposed to take it because you're professing Christ in your life. No, no, we weren't created to be mats for you to walk over us. I can get with you and still be filled with the Holy Ghost. I can get with you and still living for Christ. Yes, we turn the other cheek, but you can respond in the Christ-like way and still get your point across. Be bold in the Lord. Be bold in your Christ life. Don't let nobody just walk over you. The most challenging boundaries, some boundaries are relatively easy to establish, like telling a child not to touch a parent's computer, for example, or asking a coworker not to leave their things on your desk. Those are easy boundaries that you can establish. Others can seem daunting and a little tougher, such as telling a parent they can't drop in to see a grandchild at any time. Now, I don't know, that might be a boundary that I may have a problem with if one of my daughters say I can't drop in to see my grandchild at a certain time. Because next thing I'm going to be like, well, why? Well, what are they doing? Why I can't see them? If you're busy, just open the door and let me see them, and then I go on about my way. Or asking a partner to respect their daily exercise time. Insisting that close friends or family members honor a boundary one knows they may not agree with is a challenge. But to preserve one's balance and well-being, it's often essential. How can partners maintain boundaries within a marriage or romantic relationship? Some of the hardest boundaries to set are within one's closest relationship. One partner can violate the other's boundaries by disclosing private information to others without approval, not honoring their work schedule, or even touching them in ways they don't appreciate. Yes, even being married, there should be boundaries set. Well established boundaries, though a couple can thrive if they set those boundaries. Partners must clearly state a boundary, enforce it by reminding the other when they violated it, and not to reward boundary crossing behavior. Should boundaries be set up after a breakup? And when I was looking at this, I thought about how, there are some out there that deal with their the baby mama drama and the daddy, do they call it daddy drama? I don't know. Anyway, but they're no longer, the parent are no longer together, but they're co-parenting. Do you set boundaries in that situation? Yes. After a romantic relationship ends, one of both partners may resist completely letting go of their connection to the other, leading them to try to maintain a friendship, online communication, or even coming together. When children are involved, you have to still set boundaries and remember that those children, you're co-parenting. has become number one, not the partner anymore, because you're not in that relationship anymore. But you still set boundaries as to how you're going to co-parent and how you are going to come together and raise that child, because the child still have to be raised. You have to agree upon the boundaries based on an honest assessment of how much contact partners decide they're comfortable with, and clear communication about it. You don't have to be in contact, constant contact with each other if you're not in a relationship anymore, just because there's a child involved, especially if it's a child that's old enough to hold conversation on their own. If they're old enough to have hold conversation on their own, you don't have to hear, oh, well, you need to talk to me because we need to talk about the child. No, or I need to talk to you through you to the child. No, the child old enough to hold conversation. Here you go. Here you go, Johnny. Daddy on the phone. You can talk to your daddy. Here you go, Susie. Your mama's on the phone. You can talk to your mom. And let that be an agreed upon boundary. Unless it's something that you definitely have to talk adult to adult, then you talk adult to adult. But still have your boundaries. How can adult children set and maintain boundaries with their parents? Or we can flip that. How can parents maintain and set boundaries with their adult children? Especially when spouses or grandchildren are involved. It can be hard for adult children to set boundaries with their parents, but it is often necessary to do so for the adult child to maintain independence, keep from being treated like a kid, and avoid having to justify their decisions at every step if topics such as finances or parenting styles or disapproval of a partner are to be off limits that need to be stated clearly. So do limits on unannounced visits and guidelines on time spent with children, and vice versa. And vice versa. You have to, as a parent of adult children, still have to set boundaries and maintain those boundaries. So in doing that for years, as my girls were growing up, my husband and I got away from our time, we would just catch our little time when we can together as a couple. But those of you out there that know how it is to be married and have children, and you raising your children, you're working either outside of the home or in the home, and you seeing about the children, getting them back and forth to school, you got work, you got church, you got this, you got that going on, and you look up and the couple, the two that started it all, are no longer coming together as a couple like they should. And we had got to that point to where, it was a daily routine. Get up, he get ready for work, I get up, get ready, get the kids ready, I take him to work, take the kids to school, go home, do whatever I'm gonna do, because I was a stay-at-home mom. Go home, do whatever I'm gonna do at the house and everything. Then it's time to pick the kids up from school, then pick him up from work, and then we go home and have dinner and make sure homework is done, make sure the clothes are laid out for the next day, and go to bed and start all over again. If it was the day where we had church, then we would leave church, leave from picking him up from work and go to church and then come home and then, and go to bed and start all over. And it was just, we were in that set routine till we forgot about us. Now, fast forward to today, we decided some time ago that we were going to go back to have our date nights. Regardless of what was going on, we would still have our date nights. Sometimes I realize sometimes my husband works. He's a union steward. That's like a whole separate job. And he's a pastor, and he holds many hats on doing different things and everything. And sometimes on our date nights, I see how tired he is, and I just, if he fall asleep, he fall asleep. But we're sitting there together, and it's just quality time. So we know that Friday night is our date nights. I've had to tell people, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. It's my date night. I'm sorry, I can't, respond. It's my date night. And once I started letting people know, Friday night is my date night, guess what? The phone stopped ringing at a certain time. The text messages stopped coming in at a certain time. Still got to work on my teenager. But for the most part, everyone that knows us knows that Friday evening is our date night, and they don't bother us. Whether we go out or whether we stay in, it's our date night, and we're not available. That's a boundary that we set, and I didn't have to yell, scream, and all that. I just said, hey, this is me and your dad's date night. We doing date night every Friday. Sometimes we may have an engagement that we would have to go to on Friday. But as soon as we get back, and I would let people know, okay, well, how long is this going to be? Because I need to be back by a certain time because I have date night. And yes, I've had some look at me and like, oh, it's not that serious, or, but yes, it is. I don't care how long you've been married. We've been married going on 39, 40 years. It's important to have that date night. And then even in the date night, you set boundaries. We don't talk about this. We don't talk about that. There's no fussing. No, we just, if we're going to be at home, we decide what we're going to have to eat. If we're going to have some dessert, we're going to decide on that. And, whatever we decide, if we decide to watch a movie, we decide to just listen to some music. Whatever we decide to do, that's what we do. But everything on the outside, that's it. It's done. So there are times when he come in from work and he's exhausted, but he's also frustrated and flustered of what's going on his job. I let him vent, I let him release, and then I say, are you done? And he say, yeah, and then we say, okay, it's time for date night. And all that stuff is gone. Boundaries. So it's very important to set boundaries. And listen, if you're not familiar with how to do it, like I stated, you don't have to scream and holler. You don't have to be like, I'm setting a boundary. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And you don't have to be cold-hearted with it. I know some that say, I'm setting boundaries, and you ask them to, no. You don't have to be cold with it. You can set your boundaries and say, you know what, I'm not available. I can't do that. Or, I'm not going to be able, I'm sorry. It's a way that we do things that can turn people off. from you, and you can do it in a way where they'll love and respect you even more. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, was setting boundaries, about setting boundaries. I know that you were on at 7. uh, I don't know what happened over on Facebook that I couldn't get on. It wouldn't let me. It kept was talking about some type of error or what have you, and I didn't want to just not, just keep trying to fix it, and it was already 7 o'clock. So that's why I'm only airing on YouTube tonight, Ursuline. But I thank you for finding me and coming over to YouTube uh, to check out Monday Moments. I really appreciate you all. I got a series I'm working on. I was asked if there's a topic that you may want me to talk about, because I was asked to talk on a particular topic, which I was already in the making of getting a series of it together, especially during times like these that we're living in. Uh, it's going to be about prayer. Uh, so yeah, I'm getting ready to do that. Uh, that series. I don't know how long the series will be, but I'm going to. I'm not going to put out there when I'm gonna start the series because I'm still working on the material. But I do want to say, if there's a topic that you would like to be discussed on Monday Moments, I don't have a problem with you shooting me a message asking, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? But I do have a boundary. And one is, I don't talk about politics on Monday Moments. I don't talk about politics because of the state that America is in. I don't think it's feasible for many people to get to talking about the politics. Things happen, things are being said. You know what's going on. So, if you want to do the politic thing, you go to another show or live or podcast. But I don't talk about politics on Monday Moments. But, shoot me a topic. We'll see. Never know. You look up in a few weeks later, because I do research everything that I talk about, whether it's my personal life or not. I'm going to research out and present it in a way that I'm led by the Spirit to do so. I want to thank you for tuning in to Monday Moments with Patrina L. I am so glad you thought of me to come on, and even to find me to come on over here to YouTube. I will see you next week. Lord say the same. And thank you again for tuning in to Monday Moments with Patrina L.
Thank you for tuning in to Monday Moments with Patrina L.